The Tremoring Evolution video series is really about what you can do once you're very familiarized with involuntary movements. So it's really an advanced path with a hint of research and a scent of adventure. It's really for those who are passionate about tremoring, about involuntary movements, and want to discover more about it. So Richmond and I, we've been researching and exploring and discovering so many new possibilities, and we want to share with people. Let's go.
Yeah, we're brothers in arms. We are not in opposition.
Okay, so we are going to talk about neurogenic entrainment, right? And your first question is, what is neurogenic entrainment? Okay, so imagine if you could have a conversation with your friend, your partner, someone important to you, a non-verbal conversation that you could allow your bodies to talk. Okay, yes, I've heard of people dancing together, you know, talking through dance. But what if we could use neurogenic movements, involuntary tremoring, involuntary movements to have that conversation? What if we could allow the conversation and the shaking and the tremoring between the bodies to talk to each other and allow us to resolve, open up whatever needs to open up between the two of you? Yes, so that's what Richmond and I will be doing, exploring how neurogenic movements, neurogenic tremoring, involuntary tremoring, how those involuntary movements, how can we expand the use of them? How can we use them to really benefit our whole life? So that's happening at the workshop, for example. People will be sitting in front of each other and they will be going into that kind of non-verbal conversation. So why we call it neurogenic entrainment? Okay, we took that from physics. That's a phenomenon when, for example, two pendulums, they are moving in different rhythms. And you put them together, with time they will come together to the same rhythm, which is not like the first one and not like the second one, is a new rhythm. So we want to convey this idea that when the bodies tremor in that fashion, you're facing each other and the bodies are moving voluntarily and you're just allowing that movement to happen. There is something else that's more than just you shaking by yourself and the other person shaking by themselves, even though you might be lying down side to side. There's something else that happens when we are actually connecting to each other actively. And that's what we call neurogenic entrainment. Okay, so you're asking me about the exercise. So do we do all the warm-ups, all the preparations for the tremoring to start? Nope. So at the workshop, we're going to teach people how to simply allow shaking to happen whenever they want, wherever they want, in whichever way they want. So you could be lying down, standing up, sitting. The key point is to be facing each other. So usually sitting or standing up. And you just invite and allow the shaking and tremoring to happen. Yes, people are going to learn that. And once they learn that, then it becomes very easy. You know, they just sit in front of each other, and then we just create a space for neurogenic entrainment to happen. Some of the benefits. Okay, so last year I was in Australia and I was having hay fever symptoms. Hay fever is a kind of a flu. You know, you feel like you're getting a flu, a bit feverish, running nose, a bit sore throat. So I was getting all of that. And then I did a neurogenic entrainment session, like 40 minutes. And we went off and the body shaked and everything. By the end of the session, of course, I cried and there was a lot of stuff happening. But by the end of the session, the hay fever symptoms were gone, completely gone. And they didn't come back till, and I stood in Australia for the next, I don't know, 5 or 7 days. And there were no hay fever symptoms whatsoever. In the workshop we offered last year, we had two people sitting in front of each other and experiencing their heart opening, closing, and there was a dialogue between both hearts. They were not speaking, they were just connected to each other and allowing whatever movement to happen within them. And later on, when they both shared how their hearts were having this conversation about opening and closing and trusting and fear, and it was beautiful. It's beautiful to see that movement happening in front of their eyes. If I use that with my clients, no, not yet. It's not for someone who just started experiencing those tremors. Of course, you don't have to do TRE. You could have done bioenergetics or core energetics or other approaches that use involuntary tremors. The key point is to feel comfortable with the tremors. So that's the first step. After that, then people can actually experience this simply allowing shaking to happen and then being able to be in a relationship as shaking happens. So neurogenic entrainment is a bit of more advanced practice. So people can really feel comfortable, experience that in pairs and feel, all these magics that I mentioned to you. We just see the potential for human connection. Great potential for human connection, and that's why we are so excited about neurogenic entrainment, bringing that level of connection, the same connection we experience when tremoring. Imagine bringing that deep connection with ourselves in relationship.